everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Belinda McCauley. I'm the Executive Director of the Beverly Hills Bar Association, and we are really happy to have you here today with Erin Page, who is a Senior Law Librarian and Reference Attorney at Fastcase. So she knows everything there is to know about this great tool, and she's going to tell all of you. For those of you who are already professional or platinum members here at BHBA, this is a benefit you already have. So as you're watching today, know that you can log on as soon as this is over or during the webinar, in fact, and you will have all of this access. If you are an economy or a sustainer member, you can easily upgrade to get this great benefit. And we're continuing to roll out new benefits as well at the different levels. So always keep checking back on that. But with that, I really don't want to take too much of your time because I know you're here to learn and see this great demo. So I am going to turn this over to the fabulous Erin.
Hello, everyone, and it's a pleasure to meet you and to show off Fastcase for you. As Belinda was so kind to mention, I'm the Senior Law Librarian and Reference Attorney at Fastcase Legal Research. And today we're going to be going over your new benefit, talking about how to log in, all of the details about how to work through the system, what is available, all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you should see on the screen right now is the login for the Beverly Hills Bar Association. And I wanted to point this out because to use your Fastcase benefit, you do have to log in on the Beverly Hills Bar Association website first. Then once you're logged in and have selected Fastcase under your member benefits, you'll be automatically logged into Fastcase. So there's no separate username, no separate password. You don't have to sign up special or be approved or anything like that. So if you're at the right level of membership, which is the professional level, you can access Fastcase literally right on the spot. Nothing you have to do extra special for it. Once you've logged in, you'll be taken to the homepage for Fastcase, which is what you should see on the screen right now. And this homepage is the homepage of our brand new Fastcase 7 system. It's a great platform with tons of content, tons of features, super easy to use with a number of tools to make the research process faster, more effective, just easier to do in general. And we'll be going through all of those different features and functions as we speak today. I do want to point out that if you've used Fastcase in the past, you might be familiar with our Fastcase 6 system, which preceded this one. That is still available if you liked that system, and you're welcome to use it if you choose to do so. In the top right corner of the page, you'll see an orange icon shaped like a circle. Usually it has your initials on it. If you click on that, you do have an option to switch back to that older system. But as I was mentioning, the new system has a ton of extra content, features, tools, things like that. So I really recommend checking out the new system, especially if you haven't used it before. It is a really awesome system to use. And I also want to welcome questions at any point during today's presentation. I love questions. They make me very happy, and I'd be delighted to answer questions at any point during today's system. It's a little easier for me to see the Q&A box, so if you have a question, please feel free to use that. That's the best way. All right, so with that, let's talk about using the system, what you have access to, all of that fun stuff. So the first thing I want to point out is down here at the bottom of the page. This is the Fastcase blog, and this is where we post new announcements about things that have changed in our system, new features, new functions, new content, upcoming events that we're hosting, all of that fun information. So if it's been a while since you've logged into the system, or if you're logging in for the first time, check out this box here at the bottom of the page for announcements and for information about what's new in Fastcase. Just to the right of that, you'll see a button that's labeled Docket Alarm. Docket Alarm is Fastcase's sister product and is designed to interface with state and federal dockets to pull the rest of the information about a case. So to pull the briefs, the motions, the pleadings, all of those fun documents. Now, this is not included in your benefit with the BHBA. This is a separate function, but we have integrated some of the functions from Docket Alarm into the main Fastcase system. And I'll point them out as you go along so you can see what it would look like and take advantage of the part that's already integrated. All right. Up here in the top right-hand corner of the page, these are some of the menus that you'll have access to no matter what page you're on in Fastcase. So you'll be able to access the account menu, which is this orange circle icon, and these other menus as you go through the system. I especially want to highlight this menu here with the question mark in a circle. This is our help and support menu. And from here, you can access a number of tools and features that are designed to help you learn how to use the Fastcase system or to answer questions that you might have about the Fastcase system. We have a full user guide, step-by-step, with pictures that I highly recommend that shows off the entire Fastcase platform. We also have tutorial videos, which are short 5-minute or less videos focusing on specific functions in Fastcase. So for example, if you don't remember how to print after today's session, there's a video on that. And there's more videos on the specific functions that you can watch at any time on demand. We also routinely offer webinars, including webinars for CLE credit and informational webinars. And you can see a full schedule of these free upcoming webinars by clicking on this link. We also offer hotkeys. Hotkeys are computer shortcuts that allow you to navigate the Fastcase system without having to use your mouse. So if you prefer to use those shortcuts just to use your keyboard, or if you need to use an adaptive device such as a screen reader, we are fully screen reader compatible, and you can use those shortcuts to navigate the Fastcase system. Finally, the last thing I want to point out from this menu is the one that's right here at the top, the one that says Boolean tips. We'll be talking about Boolean searching and more in just a moment, but you can navigate the Fastcase system and run searches using a Boolean or keyword search phrase. That's a search phrase where the terms that you're looking for as a part of your search are separated by connecting words that tell the system very specifically what you're looking for. So if you're looking for dog and bite, how do you want those words to be related to each other? Do you want them to be within a certain distance of each other? Do you want them to be either words? Do you want them to be both words? That kind of information. So again, we'll be talking about this in more detail later, but you can see the full chart of all of the connectors that are available in Fastcase from the help and support menu up here at the top of the page. All right, enough intro. Let's actually talk about using the system. In the center of the page is this very large search box. That's where you're going to enter whatever question, terms, phrase, citation, anything that you want to search using in Fastcase. Fastcase supports all major methods of searching, and you don't have to specify which one you're using up front. So if you have a citation, you can enter that. For example, if you have party names, you can enter that. If you prefer, you can use a natural language search. A natural language search is a search phrased as if you were speaking to another person. So anything that you can enter as phrased as a question or phrased as a statement will work as a search phrase in Fastcase, and you will get relevant results for that. Now, it is the easiest way to phrase a search because, again, you're just phrasing it as if you were speaking or as if you were writing to somebody. But it also tends to be a very broad search, and I always want to caution about that. You will get some relevant but tangential results when you're running a natural language search. And that's because you have not put any restrictions on your search. You're just searching with the natural language itself. So you have not told the system that you only want words to be within a certain distance of each other in the resulting documents. You have not mentioned that you're not interested in this particular word, or that you want the words to be in a specific order, or anything like that. That type of specificity would be gotten with a Boolean search that we just mentioned a moment ago. A keyword or Boolean search, again, has terms that you're interested in locating, separated by connecting words such as and, or, not, etc. You might be familiar with this from using other search platforms or from your education in law school. We do support a full Boolean style search, and as we mentioned a moment ago, you can see the chart of all of the connectors by clicking on the question mark and then selecting Boolean tips. We do have a webinar specifically on Boolean tips. It is free, and you're welcome to join us for that if you need a brush up on that particular category of searching. But regardless, all of those methods of searching are supported in Fastcase and will get you excellent results. Regardless of which search method you choose, when you begin typing a search into Fastcase, you'll see a tool that's in Fastcase popping up underneath the search box. This tool is called Type Ahead, and what the system does is it looks to what you've typed so far and makes suggestions based off of that typing. So that's called predictive typing, where it's using algorithms to make suggestions based off of what's been entered so far. In the case of Fastcase, we're using this across the full database to pull what's most likely to be the answer or the document that you're looking for. So in the example on the screen right now, I have entered part of a citation, and the system is making suggestions based off of what I've typed so far for documents that I might be interested in. So it's really simple to go to a specific document because all I have to do is enter part of the citation, and then I can literally click on the document and go directly to that document. I don't even end up on the results page. So literally I have gone from my search box to the document. I can then download the document and perhaps be done with my research in less than a minute. It's super quick, super easy. You may also see as you navigate through the Fastcase system, search tips appearing on the page. These are only going to appear when you first use the system to sort of train you how to use the system and to make sure you're familiar with what you're clicking on. Going back to the home page, I could also enter any particular search phrase I have in mind, or I can enter any party names. So for example, if I'm entering Marbury versus Madison, by the time I've hit that B in Marbury, you can see it's already suggesting that specific case. So again, I'd recommend taking a quick peek at those suggestions under the search box because it can really shortcut and make it easy to get to that document that you're looking for. Now, let's say that I've entered the perfect search phrase into the search bar. Before I run the search, I just want to make a quick mention of jurisdiction. Specifically, on the page right now, you'll see that my jurisdiction is currently set to primary and secondary all. This means that if I run a search right this moment, it's going to run across all Fastcase databases. So I will get results from cases, statutes, regulations, court rules, constitutions, from California to Maine to Florida to Hawaii. So everything in the database. And this function is great, especially if you're trying to get kind of a 50-state statute effect, where you're trying to see what the law is across the country. However, if you already have a particular jurisdiction in mind, that's great too. To set your jurisdiction, all you have to do is come over here to the right side of the search box and click on Jurisdictions and Sources. Once you've done so, it'll pop open the Search Scope Selector. Over here on the left-hand side of the page, I'll see all of the states and all of the federal jurisdictions. On the right-hand side of the page, I'll see all of the different document types. I want to specifically point out this bottom corner over here. As I mentioned just a couple moments ago, we are integrating some of the docket alarm content into Fastcase, and these are the search options you would use in order to search that docket alarm content. Now, keep in mind, all docket alarm content searching is free, so feel free to search the content. When you select a document, it'll pop up and let you know that you might need to upgrade to access that material. All right, back to the regular routine search though. So if I was searching in California, I'd select California here on the left-hand side of the screen. And then over here on the right-hand side of the screen, I'd select the document type I was interested in. So if I wanted to, I could select California, and then I would select cases or statutes or regulations or a combination thereof. You can search multiple jurisdictions at the same time. So if I wanted to, I could search California and Oregon and Washington State and Arizona and however many other jurisdictions I'd like. So it does not matter how many different courts you select, how many different states you select, how many different document types. You can search them all at the same time if you choose to. All right, once I've made those selections, I can hit Save and Continue. And underneath the search box, you'll see that it now says California Cases All. So I already have my jurisdiction set right here. Now, if there's a particular jurisdiction or combination of jurisdictions that you like to search in, you can set that as your default. Just set the jurisdiction just as we just did. Then over here to the left of that jurisdiction, you'll see these small icons. Click on the star icon and then select Save as Default. Now, every time I log into Fastcase, it will show up with this as my jurisdiction automatically when I first log in. All right, so again, now that we've set our jurisdiction, I'm going to enter our search phrase. And we're ready to run the search. I can either hit enter, or I can hit the orange search button right here to run my search. All right, so here we are on the results page. And the first thing I want to show you at the top of the page is that your search phrase is still present here at the top. So if you run a search and you realize, oops, typo, or oops, I left a word out, or I did not mean to include that extra word, that's perfectly fine. You can edit or modify your search phrase right here on the results page. So you don't have to go back and forth between the results page and the search page. You can just modify your search right here on the results page and keep going. Also, if you wanted to search within your results, just add your search terms to your current search phrase, hit the search button, and you'll search within those current results. On the right end of this search box, you'll see a small drop-down arrow right here. When you click on that, it'll show you a couple of options of things you can do to this search. So for example, on this particular search, I can save this search. So let's say that this is a search phrase that I run all the time. I can just save it and with one click, run it again in the future. I also have an option to add an alert to this search. So let's say that I'm running a search on an area that's important to my practice, or I'm running a search and I know that I want to keep track of what's going on, what cases come up on this particular phrase, etc. for a while. I can add an alert to this search and be notified via email anytime there's new case law on this subject. So that means that I can be assured that I'm getting all of the information about that topic in a timely, rapid manner. There's no limitation to how many of these alerts you can set, and there's no charge for setting these alerts. So please feel free to set as many of them as you'd like. All right, so now that we've talked about the search bar here at the top of the page, just underneath it to the right here are your actual results. The number of results that you got for your search will always be present here at the top left. These results are in relevance order, which means that the most relevant case is pushed to the top, less relevant ones are pushed to the bottom. However, they don't have to stay in that order if you don't want them to. Over here on the top right corner of the screen, you'll see an option that says sort by. And if you click on that, it'll give you an option to change the sort order. So if I wanted to, I could have it in date order or in alphabetical order, or I could elect to have it show me the most cited cases at the top of the page. Incidentally, that last one tends to push those seminal results to the top of the list. These results are bottomless, which means that as I scroll down here, more results are automatically being loaded. So I don't have to worry about, am I on page 1? Am I on page 20? How many pages of results do I have? You just have the total number of results here at the top and the option to scroll down until you see the results that you're interested in. Now, over here on the left-hand side of the page, this is your filters panel. And you can use this filters panel to help you focus your search after you run the search. So if you ran the search without setting a jurisdiction, you can set a jurisdiction on this left-hand side. If you ran the search with one jurisdiction, you're like, should have added another. You can fix that. So anytime you want, you can focus your search using these filters on the left. At the very top, you'll see the current filters that are applied to this search. So currently, as we saw when I was setting my jurisdiction, my search is restricted to California cases. If I add a filter that I'm not interested in, I can remove it by clicking on the X next to that filter. And if I want to get rid of all of my filters, I can do so by clicking on this trash can icon. Looks like we have a question if we can compare and explain some of the differences or similarities to Lexis and Westlaw. I will do my best to do so, but if you have a specific question, let me know and I'd be happy to explain that as well. And I'll go ahead and just drop a note about that right now. As far as content goes, Fastcase, Lexis, and West have all of the same appellate coverage, statutes, regulations, court rules. We have the same primary materials. Lexis and West are publishers and do have unique publications that are unique to them as the publishers, but we have some unique publications as well. So if you're looking for secondary content, there might be some differences, but do explore the Fastcase system. We have some excellent publishers as well. All right. So we were just talking about the primary and secondary sources filter here. And again, this allows you to add jurisdictions that you'd like to, or to remove them. So if I've looked at my results and I've decided, oh no, not enough results on the subject I'm interested in, what does the Ninth Circuit say? I can come over here to the left, just click on the box next to Ninth Circuit, and add these 378 results to my current results just with that one click. Underneath the primary and secondary sources filter, you'll see a filter labeled briefs, pleadings, motions, and orders. Again, that's some of that docket alarm content sinking in. You can run a search in this content anytime you'd like. So you can run a search right now, see what briefs, pleadings, motions are available for this particular subject, and then decide if you want to add to that or if you want to subscribe, etc. Underneath that filter, you have the date range filter. This allows you to limit your results to a specific date range. So the last 20 years, the last 10 years, the last year, or to set a specific range or specific set of dates. So if I wanted to, I could search from 1983 to 1987. Whatever makes sense for your particular search needs, just enter the dates, hit the check mark, and your results will filter automatically. In the bottom left corner here, our final filter is what's known as the suggested terms list. This is a list that you can use, especially if you're running a search in an area of law that you're not familiar with, or if you're a bit of a novice researcher. Let's say that you're in a search on Miranda warning cases, but it's not an area of law that you're terribly familiar with practice-wise. You might have enough knowledge to run this very general search, but not be getting a lot of brainstorming or ideas about what terms you want to add to the search to focus it. I mean, 970 results is a pretty big search. You can come down here to the suggested terms list, and what the list is showing is terms of art and common legal phrases that are appearing currently in my results. So currently in my 970 results, there are 537 results that mention an arrest. There are 332 cases mentioning waiver, things of that nature. So if you see a term or a phrase that you're interested in, you can click on the plus sign next to that term to add that term to your search phrase at the top of the page. As you can see, once the top phrase at the top of the page is modified, your results over here on the right will filter as well, narrowing your search down so that you can get more focused results. It might take a second to load, as this one is. I can also use this suggested terms list to filter results out. So let's say that I'm not interested in cases that mention that there's a certification. I can hit the minus sign next to that term and filter those results out. So it's very easy to use the suggested terms list to get a very focused set of results very quickly without having to type a single thing. All right, one more tool to show you from this results page, and then we'll talk about the document view next. Over here in the top left corner of the page, you'll see this button here that says Timeline. This is a tool that allows you to see your current results list, but spread across a 4D timeline so that you can see some of the analytical results and some of the relationship between the cases without having to do a lot of sorting and a lot of filtering. So let me explain a little bit about the timeline, and then I'll give you an example about how you might use this in your day-to-day practice. So the bottom or x-axis of this timeline is showing changes over time. Cases that are towards the left are older, and cases to the right are more recent. You can also spot on this timeline when there's been a spike in the number of results on a specific subject. This one's a little subtle, but say you ran a search on third-party liability. You get a huge spike in the number of results in a number of cases where just before or just prior to the introduction of the seatbelt in the motor vehicle. So there's all kinds of fun trivia points and things that you can see in the development of the law using the timeline. The Y, or vertical axis of the timeline, is showing relevance. So the higher up a case is, the more relevant it is in your current search. And each of these individual cases or circles represents an individual case. So as you can see, as I hover my mouse over a particular circle, it's telling me a little bit of information about that case, what the name of the case is, how many times it's been cited to, and you'll see a very small excerpt from that case. Now, without knowing a single other thing about the timeline, let's go to that practice example for just a moment. Let's say that you have 2 clients scheduled to come into the office. And in between those 2 appointments, you have a little bit of time that you're planning to use to do legal research. Fantastic. You run your search, you've got some good-looking results, and you're trying to decide which case to read in the limited amount of time you have before the second client arrives. You're like, should I read the most recent case first, or the most relevant case first, or the one that's been cited to the most, and by the time you've wandered through all of those thoughts and are sorting and filtering and try to make your decision, the second client has entered the door and you don't have time to read any cases. Or you can switch over to this timeline and know that anything that's in the top right-hand corner of this timeline is going to be both a recent and relevant case that you might want to just go ahead and start there and then look to the other cases. So that's just one example of many, many ways that you can use this timeline, and I encourage you to explore it quite a bit. All right, just giving you a couple more details about this timeline. You might have noticed that the circles are a couple of different sizes on this timeline, and that's because the size of the circle is proportional to the number of times that case has been cited to. The larger the circle, the more seminal that particular case is. And you might have noticed there's a couple of different colors on this timeline as well. The case that has a red circle is a case that has a negative case interpretation. It's been overruled, superseded, remanded, questioned, criticized, or is otherwise bad law, and you might want to skip it. A case that has a gray circle, as we mentioned, that gray circle will be proportional to the total number of times that case has been cited to. However, you might be wondering what that third color is. Well, we've all been in the situation where we've spotted a seminal case and we're like, great, a seminal case. And then you read it and you realize, yeah, that one's seminal, but not for the point of law that I'm currently searching for. It has another proposition, everybody's citing to it for that other proposition, not so useful for me. That's where the blue circles that you'll see on this timeline come into play. The larger the blue circle in a particular case, the more times that case has been cited to for the issue or proposition that you're currently searching for, as opposed to other issues. So just keep an eye out for those larger blue circle cases. Those are cases that are much more likely to be relevant for your current search phrase. Alrighty, so just wanted to give you a little bit on that unique timeline. Again, this is unique to the Fastcase system and is kind of a fun tool to use when you're trying to decide where to start. Switching back to the results list, let's go ahead and grab a case. Actually, this first one looks interesting. Let's go with that. So here we are on the results page. And the first thing I want to point out, or results page on the document view, excuse me. Here we are in the document view. And the first thing I want to point out is that you can still see your results here on the left-hand side of the page. And this is convenient because it means that you can look at a document and still be able to continue to your next result in the results list. So, you don't have to go back and forth between the results page and the document view. Just click on that left-hand panel. Now, if you don't want this left-hand panel to be visible, you want the document to be the full page, that's fine too. Over here on the left-hand side of the page, these are the possible panels that can be open on this screen. And the ones that are currently visible are marked in orange. So if I click on the results button right here, it'll hide that left-hand panel, and the only thing still visible will be my doc page. Now, speaking of the doc page, results in Fastcase will have full pagination, full citation, everything you need in order to cite them to the court. And at the top of the page, you'll see the term that you used to locate that particular case highlighted. So if I wanted to see where in this case the phrase Miranda warning appears, I can just click on Miranda warning, and it will jump this case down to where that particular term appears. Now, if I want to search for a new term in this document, let's say that I want to see where the word attorney appears in this document. I can just enter that in the Find in this document box here, click the orange search button, and I will look for that term in my case and jump me down to where that term appears. So I can jump from term to term and see all of the places where the term or phrase attorney appears. So again, super easy to locate a new term in a particular document. If I want to remove highlights for a particular term, all I have to do is click on the X next to them. All right, now to one of the questions I always get about using Fastcase. How do you print or how do you download from Fastcase? Well, you actually have a couple of options for that. For printing, the easiest way to do so is to use the keyboard shortcut Control and P. If you're using a Mac, that would be Command and P. Or you can use the print function in your browser. So for Chrome, it's right-click and then select Print. When you print directly from Fastcase, our system uses the default settings for your printer. So it will print directly to your printer, but it will print with the font size that your printer uses as default. So just be aware that sometimes it will print a little small. But that's just controlled by the default settings for your printer, and you can adjust that if you'd like. However, I prefer and I recommend using the download function. To download a document from Fastcase, you come up here above the text of the document on the right and click on the icon shaped like a downward pointing arrow. Once you've done that, you'll see your download options here on the screen. You can choose between Adobe PDF and Microsoft Word format, and you can use dual column like the old reporters, or you can elect single column, which takes advantage of the full page width. Once you've made those selections, hit the orange download button, and the document will be automatically sent to your downloads folder on your computer. It will also, as you can see here, show up in the bottom corner of your browser, and you can just click and open that particular document. You're welcome to save it, to print it, to email it, to do whatever you'd like with that downloaded copy. Speaking of access, your access to Fastcase is unlimited. So you can feel free to stay logged in as long as you'd like. You can run as many searches as you'd like, literally run 1, run 10, run 1,000,000. Well, we'd notice 1,000,000, but we don't care. You're welcome to search as much as you'd like. Same thing for downloading or printing. Download 1 page, print 20 pages. I once helped someone print the entire US code. I still to this day have no idea what he was doing with it, but you're welcome to do that if you'd like. There are no limitations or incremental charges in Fastcase, so you don't have to worry about going over your budget or, oh no, I charged 25 cents worth to this client. None of that nonsense. If you are on a roll, or if you end up wanting to download multiple documents at the same time, that's fine too. Fastcase does support what's known as batch downloading or batch printing. To do so, over here to the right of the downloads icon, you'll see this icon shaped like a sideways V. This is the sharing menu, and when you click on it, the first option down is Add to your export queue. So I've just added this document to my queue, and I can add any number of other documents to the queue as well. Once I've added everything I'm interested in, at the top right here, you'll see this icon that's shaped like a cloud with a downward pointing arrow. This is my export menu, and when I click on it, I'll see all of the documents that I've added to the queue. If I've added something I'm not interested in, I can just click on the trash can to remove it. Once I've confirmed I have everything I want, I click on Export over here on the right, and I'll have my download options, including the same options we had for downloading an individual document, plus another option that allows me to choose if all of these documents will end up in one long single file, which I tend to prefer for statutes and regulations, or if it'll download in a zipped folder with each document I've added to the queue as a separate document in that folder. I tend to prefer that for cases just because I tend to hate when one case runs right into the next. Also, a little bit of a pro tip here, but everything you download ends up in your export menu under past exports. So if you're like me and you occasionally can't remember where you saved something to on your computer, you can re-export it at any time just by going to past exports and hitting export again. Also available from this sharing menu, you do have the option to email a document directly from Fastcase. All you have to do is enter the recipient's email address right here, and the document that you've selected will travel in the body of the email. So you don't have to worry about, is there an attachment? Did the attachment go through? It'll travel in the body of that email. The third option you have for sharing directly from Fastcase is what's known as a public link. A public link is a public domain copy of the document that you're currently on. So anyone I give this link to, they could be a client, could be a student, could be a colleague, could be opposing counsel, even the court, although ask permission for that last one. But anyone I give this link to has access to exactly the same document as I'm currently viewing. However, the recipient does not have to be logged into Fastcase. In fact, they don't even have to have Fastcase access at all. All they need is that link, and when they click on it, they'll be taken to this public domain copy of the case I was viewing. This is especially convenient if you're doing a little bit of blogging, or if you're posting on social media, or if you want to post something on your website. It's available as a static link, so you can access it today, tomorrow, 3 years from now. 50 people, 1 million people can click on it. It doesn't matter. And as you can see, it'll have the same formatting, citation, and pagination as the copy you're viewing in Fastcase. All right, one more thing to point out from this sharing menu, and that is when you copy and paste text from Fastcase. So let's say that this is the best sentence ever, and I'm going to copy and paste it into a brief. When I paste it into my brief, it'll bring with it not only the segment that I've copied, but it will also automatically bring with it the citation for this case. So that makes it 10 times easier to make sure you remember to properly attribute where you got that quote from. However, not everybody likes that function. If you don't like that function, you can turn it off using that sharing menu. Just uncheck this button right here. All right, one more thing to point out over here on the right side of the page, and that's this icon right here. This is the bookmarks icon, and if you bookmark a case, you can then access that case later without having to remember the citation for it or having to search for it again. Up here at the top of the page, you'll see an icon shaped like a clock with an arrow wrapped around it. This is the icon that stores all information related to your use of Fastcase. So it'll have your history. This includes your search history, going back 18 months or 10,000 searches, whichever is greater. And you can rerun any search from your search history by clicking on the search phrase. You can also see what restrictions or searches that you've, limitations that you've put on that search over here on the right. Your document history is the second tab, and it shows you all documents that you viewed using this account. And you can click and go directly to that document. Your bookmarks tab shows you all documents you've bookmarked using that little ribbon icon we just clicked on. Saved searches, if you remember when we were running that search, you could save a search to rerun it later. That's where this will be. And then finally, case law alerts. Again, if you remember when we were looking at the results page, you can set an alert on a particular case and then receive emails notifying you when there's new case law on that subject. You can modify any of those alerts here using this Case Alerts tab under History, Bookmarks, and Alerts. All right, speaking about the page itself, if the toolbar is in the way, you can hide it using this button here. And on the left-hand side of the screen here, you can adjust the font size if it comes out a little small for your taste on your screen. So if I want to, I can increase the font size or decrease it using this function here. All right, one icon left from this page, and then we'll talk about something a little different. So this is the question I get second most often, and that is, can you Shepardize in Fastcase? Well, the term Shepards itself is the intellectual property of a different company. However, Fastcase does have a citator. Our citator is called Authority Check, and you can use this flag icon right here to view that report. Incidentally, this flag icon is also visible on the results page. If you're looking at the name of the result, it'll be visible just underneath it on the left. The flag itself will be red if the case has a negative interpretation, just like the circles we saw in the interactive timeline, and black and white if there's no negative interpretation. When I click on that flag, the report will open on the left-hand side of the screen here, as you can see. And up here at the top, right next to where it says Authority Check, you can see a little download icon. That'll allow you to download just the report if you want it. Now, underneath the Authority Check and underneath the name of the case, you'll see the filters for this particular report. So if you want to, you can filter this report down to the response of a particular jurisdiction. So if I wanted to see how the Ninth Circuit treated this case, I would just select Ninth Circuit from this drop-down list. Over here on the right, you can see the ways that you can sort this particular report. By default, it's going to show you by most recent citation to this case, but you can also flip it so that you can see the most seminal citation to this case as well. All right, if a case has a negative treatment, you'd see that right here under this red stripe. This particular case is still good law, so there's no red treatment for this case, but otherwise it would be right here under this red stripe. And I'll show you a case with a negative treatment in just a moment so you can see what I'm talking about. And finally, at the bottom of this report, you'll see a list of all citing cases. So this will show you all of the cases that have referred to this case and give you a little excerpt of that reference. So a lot of information packed into this particular report. Let's go ahead and take a look at a negative case really quickly. Let's go with, which one do I want to do? Actually, let's just use the one from the timeline. That'll be fun. So this is the timeline we were looking at earlier. Take the talk off. And let's go ahead and grab a red case from this one. Sorry, it'll be just a sec while I load it. There we go. Never fails, but it decides to load slowly. My apologies. It'll be just a moment. Here we go. So we'll go ahead and grab one of these red cases. People v. Austin looks like fun. So here we have People v. Austin, and as you can see, there's the red flag that we were mentioning before. And when I click on the red flag to bring up the Authority Check report for this particular case, and it takes just a sec to load, we'll see that it has the negative treatment, including why we consider this to be a negative treatment. Now, this particular case was overruled by People versus Palmer, which you can see right here. So super easy to see why a case was treated negatively and to see all of the treatment of that particular case. All right. So we've been talking a lot about search, but there's a couple of settings that you can adjust for your search as well to customize your search and make it in the format or having the content that you're interested in. To adjust any of those search parameters, you would come to the top right corner of the page right here. And when you do, click on Settings. The Settings menu will have two different tools that you can use to impact your search results. The first set here in your search scope settings will show you information about what types of content you'll get in your search results. For example, Fastcase by default will show you the most recent edition of documents. So this includes the most recent edition of the code, of regulations, of court rules, things of that nature. However, you can adjust your settings to include historic editions if you'd like. And if you select that option, you'll see the 1996 code, you'll see the 2003 code, etc. Similarly, you can have your search results show purchasable content or not. So the purchasable content includes things like secondary materials that are available as optional add-ons to your access. Finally, you can then choose to include non-jurisdictional materials. The other setting that you can adjust from this menu is the relevance algorithm. So I mentioned a couple of moments ago that your results end up in relevance order, with the most relevant result pushed to the top, least relevant ones pushed to the bottom. However, it does not have to stay in that order, as we mentioned. You can order it by other sort orders, or you can actually adjust the relevance algorithm in Fastcase. And this came about because people asked, well, how does Fastcase determine that a particular result is more or less relevant than another? The answer to that question is that we take the 8 factors that you can see on the screen right now into account when determining relevance. So for example, we take into account how recent the document is, how many times it's been cited to, what level of court issued that particular opinion. Was it a Supreme Court or was it a trial court? So things like that are taken into account when we determine relevance. Each of these factors is individually weighted, so the amount of impact that factor has is adjusted. And not only can you see how we currently treat relevance, but you can actually adjust it to your preferences as a researcher. So if you don't care how recent a case is, you can zero that function out. If you really like getting Supreme Court cases at the top of your results, you can increase that function. It does not change the number of results you get, but it does adjust slightly the order that they'll appear on your screen. So you can tweak it until it matches your particular preferences as an individual. There's about 1 million possible combinations, so do feel free to experiment with it a little bit. Although I'm particularly fond of the default setting in Fastcase at the moment, so, but to each their own. All right, one more thing to talk about before I make sure if there's any questions I've missed, and that is you don't have to use search to get to a particular document in Fastcase. We also offer browse or outline mode. So next to the search box, you'll see a blue button labeled Browse. And when you click on that, it'll take you to this outline page. It should default showing your jurisdiction, California, and federal at the top of the page, but you can change that jurisdiction over here by clicking on Change Jurisdiction by typing, and then selecting the jurisdiction that you want. Once you have the jurisdiction you're interested in, primary material will be on the left, and secondary content will be on the right. Remember, as members of the BHBA, you have access to primary materials from all 50 states and all federal materials. So you have cases, statutes, regulations, court rules, constitutions, attorney general opinions, all of that type of content. We also offer, by popular demand, secondary materials such as treatises, journal articles, legal blogs, things of that nature. However, this is optional add-ons, so you can get a particular book that you're interested in if you want, and you don't have to have a book that you're not interested in if you don't want it. Any material that's an optional add-on will have a little price tag next to it, but don't worry if you click on a link by accident. You can't incur a charge by accident in Fastcase. The system will just let you know that you're out of your scope, and that there is, if you want to continue to view the document, that you do need to purchase that as a subscription. All right, the materials are broken down according to the issuing body. So cases and court materials, primary materials such as legislative materials, and administrative materials. Now, each of the libraries that's listed here is tagged as part of your jurisdiction and will have a couple of small icons next to it. As we mentioned, the price tag indicates that it's not part of your current subscription. The magnifying glass is an indication that this particular resource can be searched. So if you click on that magnifying glass, it will set your jurisdiction to that particular library. If a library has 3 parallel lines next to it, that's a library that you can view from the index. And if you click on that, let's do this California code. It'll take you to the outline for that particular document, where you can select the edition, and then the subject area. Let's go with the penal code for fun. And then you can see the titles, the subtitles, the chapters, and then the sections that you're interested in. Murder looks like fun. So over here on the right-hand side, you'll have the text of that particular section, while on the left, you'll still see the outline. So you can jump from section to section without having to search each one individually. Over here on the right, your tools are going to be the same as the case law example we just saw, with one exception. Instead of having the flag icon for the authority check report, you'll have a capital letter A. A is for annotations, and if I click on it, on the left-hand side of the screen, I'll see a list of all cases citing to this particular document. Let me show you one that actually does show that. But that's the easiest way to get to the annotations in Fastcase. So if I grab murder in the first degree, that should be better. I'm not lucky. That's all right. Just a quick note about how quickly the system updates. New case law hits our system within 24 hours of the court issuing an opinion. However, if an opinion is under seal, we would not have that document as it has not been made publicly available. About a minute and a half after that document hits our system, it's updated on every report in Fastcase. So if a particular case was cited to on Monday, you'd see it as part of the authority check report on Tuesday. If a particular statute section was cited to, you'd see an annotation for it the next day. For non-case law materials, we update on the same schedule as the issuing body. So if a legislature updates on a bi-weekly basis, so do we. If they update on a monthly basis, so do we. You get the idea. Let's see. I think there's just one last couple of things I wanted to check on. I have mentioned that you can access all of the menus up here from whatever page you're on in Fastcase. And we've talked about these first 3, but we haven't mentioned this menu. This is the Apps and Tools menu. And from here, you can see a number of partners that Fastcase has. So for example, we have a partnership, our sister product, Law Media, which is a legal news and publishing branch, which does legal news articles on legal tech, agricultural law, and healthcare law. Law Media is 100% free, so please feel free to sign up for whatever topic and subject areas you're interested in. And I will say that it has some really excellent reporting. Also available as a partnership from this menu, we do integrate with Clio Practice Management. So if you use Clio for your billing and timekeeping purposes, you can integrate Fastcase with your Clio subscription. We also have a free to bar members set of case law alerts on COVID-19 materials. So if you want to keep up to date on the latest in COVID-19, you can get that curated list for free. Just click here to sign up. Last thing I want to mention from this menu is cloud linking. Cloud linking is a tool that integrates with the public link feature we mentioned earlier to allow you to submit a document to Fastcase. Let's say you have a memo or a brief or a motion that has a ton of case law sites on it. You can upload that particular document temporarily to Fastcase, and Fastcase will add a public link to every case law citation that's in that document. So if you send an electronic copy of that brief to a colleague, they'll have links to every single one of the cases that you cited to that they can just click on and go directly to that case. So this is available as a workflow tool in Fastcase, and I highly encourage you to check it out and to take advantage of it if you have an electronic document that you want to link. All righty, last thing I want to mention before I check for some questions, and that is your access to Fastcase comes with access to the Fastcase reference and support team. We're available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, as I mentioned, and we can be reached 3 different ways. You can call us. Our phone number is 866-773-2782. You can email us. Our email address is support, that's SUPPORT, @fastcase.com. Or we have a live chat button that you can access in the Fastcase system. It'll appear down here in the bottom right corner when you're logged in. Mine's not showing, but yours will. And you can use that live chat function to speak directly to a reference law attorney or a law librarian. We'd be delighted to answer your questions about using Fastcase, as well as any reference questions that you might have. So we welcome you. We hope that you'll take advantage of the system and the support that's available. And I hope you have a great time exploring the Fastcase system. All right, let's see. I think I have a question or two. Yes, a little bit more elaboration on secondary content, sure. So we do offer subscriptions to secondary content. You can subscribe to a particular treatise or CLE book. You can also subscribe to a database of law review articles. So you can access journals for a monthly or an annual subscription cost. This is through an integration with Hein Online. So if you've ever used Hein Online to look at law review articles or journal articles, you can do that through Fastcase as well. There are actually 2 databases in Fastcase that are technically secondary content that are available for free. The first one, and I'll go ahead and show you this one, is JurisPro. JurisPro is a database of information about particular expert witnesses, and you can access it from the secondary material section over here on the right. When you click on it, it allows you to see biographical information, educational background, specialties, and subspecialties of expert witnesses. The other database that I recommend is Lex Blog, and that's going to be down here. Well, I'll let that load, but Lex Blog is the single largest curated database of legal blogs and professional articles in the world. It's written by leading practitioners and experts in their fields. So you'll see litigators and you'll see law professors and some of the greatest legal minds opining on current and niche legal issues. And I really recommend checking out that database as well. They have some really great writing on COVID-19 in specific areas, including an article that's about COVID-19 and endangered animals, which is really one of my favorite articles ever. My apologies, my internet connection's a little iffy at the moment. Looks like we have another question. Does Fastcase access Trademark Trial and Appeal Board's rulings? We're actually about 2/3 of the way through integrating that into the system. Keep an eye out on that blog post at the top front of the page, on the first page when you log into Fastcase. You'll see an announcement when that's done and when that's available for everyone. And I guess that's a good parting thought. We do and are constantly updating. And if you have any questions or suggestions about Fastcase, we actually do listen to those and use them as a part of our future development. So please feel free to let us know, and we'd be delighted to take care of it. So I think I've gotten all the questions, but I'll just go ahead and wait a moment to see if we have any more. Is there a guide on in writing on how to? Yes. And the easiest way to access this is at the top of the page, the question mark icon right here. Just click on that, and then the one you want is the one labeled user guide right here. How comparable is Fastcase's search to other databases such as Westlaw and Lexis? The search works very much the same. We use the same connectors. You can do natural language in most of those databases as well. So it's very similar to using Lexis and Westlaw as far as your search terms that you would use or phrasing that you would use, yes. Access to briefs and motions, that's that optional add-on through Docket Alarm. You can add that onto your subscription very easily from that starting page. Just click on this Fastcase logo here to go back to the starting page anytime you'd like to, and then click on this Docket Alarm icon to see more information. Or you can run a search using briefs, pleadings, and motions from the Jurisdictions and Sources panel, and it will let you see the results before prompting you to purchase.